better.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll pass the mic to you. Today we are so lucky to have our own member and past president, Barbara
Seliner.
Barbara Seliner. Okay, I'll start over.
It's a hard name.
Today we are so blessed to have our own member and past president, Barbara Seliner, here today to show us her watercolor techniques. And I think how long have you been doing watercolor for?
I started about 2004 when I retired. Up until then, I didn't want anything to do with watercolor. My family didn't have a lot of money, so you had Crayola watercolor. I think most of us are familiar with that, and it's not the best. So I just didn't like what I got from it. So I've done a lot of painting. I've done acrylics. I've done tempera. I've done toll painting. I've done crafts, of course, the painting with craft paint. So I've done a lot of painting. And I've had people tell me, watercolors is so hard. It's not. It's different. Because all of these other paints are all opaque. And when you have opaque paints, you can use them in a certain way that you can't use watercolor, because watercolor is a transparent paint. You're using the vehicle of water. And what makes it a little bit more challenging, maybe, is that you have to understand what water does if you like to do watercolor. Because with water, it always runs downhill and tries to find a place to rest with other water, okay? That's one of the big differences that you don't have with those other opaque paints. It's much more fluid. You can water it down and get it nice and light, or you can use it with less water, more pigment to get it nice and bright if you have the right kind of paint. I've had people that have come up and said, I've never done anything, but I'd like to learn how to do watercolors. What do I need to get, and what do I need to do to know? And not only that, what surprised me is I have lately had a lot of people that are very proficient in oil paints, acrylics, pastels, that have come up to me and say, I'm getting a little older now. You know how that, I'm sure most of you have heard that from your doctors now, that you're getting a little older. It's becoming harder to, for the oil paints to drive that paint into the canvas. Or maybe it's just gathering all your stuff up and taking it to a class is a lot harder. We're getting fibromyalgia, things like that. Watercolors, one of the really nice things about watercolors, it's very portable. You can take it with you wherever you go. I painted on the plane one time, and lo and behold, the person on the window seat happened to own an art store, and we were sitting there painting our paints.
I love that.
Yeah, it was really cool. But I really was standoffish about watercolors. And it's funny because when I was little, when my parents wanted to find me, they'd always go outside and find a puddle, because I'd be in that puddle. Now, I get to play in the puddle all the time. Whenever I paint, I get to make my puddles, and I just have a great time with it. And that's one of the things, if you want to go into painting, be sure you pick a medium that you like. Now, that didn't happen with me because I didn't really like watercolor. However, I was fortunate enough to have a teacher that I was trying to keep my teaching certificate after I had retired. And I took a class where she just handed us a certain palette, and we just went outside and painted. And I found that I loved it, and it was because of the materials. So today, what I want to do for you is I want to talk about the differences and what you need to know about watercolor to be successful. I want to talk to you about what materials do you absolutely need to have to get started. And I want to show you how you can do it inexpensively, because when you're just trying to figure out, do I want to do this? You don't want to spend $100 on paint? I don't think so. What if you don't like it? So there are things out there that are inexpensive that will give you the same results, or I shouldn't say the same results, because there's differences in light fastness and the amount of pigment and that kind of thing. But it'll give you a good idea as to how to get started and what to use. So let's do that. Let's get started. Okay, you need three things. You need a brush, you need paint, and you need paper. And I don't know about you, but when I walked into an art store looking for a brush, my eyes glazed over. You know, you walk in there and the whole wall is full of brushes. And I mean, where do you start? So the first thing I want to say is that you would need to get a good watercolor brush. And by the way, if you are an acrylic person or a multimedia painting person, you can use those brushes too. Those will work. Although the watercolors are a little more delicate and you can do some other kinds of things with them. So the first thing you need to do, I was given this brush in 2004 and I'm still using it. You know how much this brush cost?
$2.99.
Huh?
$2.99.
$2. Now, it's $3.
Yeah.
And where you can find it, if you aren't from this area, do you know about I've Been Framed?
Yes.
Okay, I've Been Framed has two stores, one on Ash Street and one on 52nd and Foster. And they have just changed their name. They're still I've Been Framed, which I love, but they're now called Art Supply Center. Because over COVID, they took all their framing and put it over at the other store. So they thought that was better for that store. And so now it's just art supply. And the cool thing about this particular store is it's run and owned by artists. They buy things that are overstock art and liquidation art, or liquidation supplies, and then they sell it to you cheaper. So if that's the first place I would go if you are in this area. If you're not in this area, well, let me finish this area. The second place I go is to the Artist and Craftsman Supply on 21st and Powell, which is just a block south of Powell. They are also artist owned and artist run, but they have if they don't have it, ask them because they'll call the company and get it for you. Over at I've Been Framed, if they don't have it, well, they don't have it. But if they have it, it's cheaper. Okay? So what do you need to look for brushes? Well, when I first joined this guild, I met a lady called Bee Greening. She was quite a watercolorist. I saw her do a demo, and she did like an old white summer type plantation type house with the wraparound porch, and she had all of the foliage coming down over the roofs and the light coming through, and this is the only brush she used for the entire painting. I saw her paint that picture and I still don't know how she did it. She did stuff with her brush I've never seen, and she got in a little teeny tiny hole. This is a house trim brush. And I asked her, do you have any other? Nope, she only had this one. That's what she learned on, and that's the only brush she's ever used. So I want you to remember that when I'm talking about watercolors too, and really all the other paints, there is a lot of personal preference involved. She would never dream of using a brush like this. I would never dream of using a brush like this because I'm not that good at painting. I'm still quite an amateur at it. So I have to have all these little doodad brushes that will help me because each brush makes a different mark, except for hers. Okay, so you want to go and you go into, if you're not in this area, you're in a different area. And I have a resource sheet up here you can pick up at the end of the demo for what's around here. Where was I? Lost my train of thought.
That's okay, because I can move the camera. You can get a different shot this way.
Okay, let me talk to you a little bit. I know that most of you here know something about brushes, but just a quick cover, because with watercolor brushes, you have to look for something special. If you're around here, go into I've Been Framed, the art supply center now, and go to them and say, could you show me where your good watercolor brushes are that are cheap? And they will show you, instead of the whole wall, they'll say, right here. And there will be rows of watercolor brushes. And they will be good. And if you know how, and they're only $3 a brush, and if you know how to take care of this brush, you can have it forever. And I'll also talk to you in a little bit about when to throw the brush away, because there are times. Okay, so let's talk about the brush. Many of you already know a brush has a handle, usually plastic or wood. Then they take animal hair. Oh, they put little glue on the one end of this brush. And then they take animal hair and they stick it in that glue until they form this head. Then they take a wire and they run it around that and twist it really tight so it will stay together. Okay? Then they take this metal piece, it's called a ferrule, and they put that on there and clamp it on really tight. Because you see, the thing is you don't want the hair to come off. If you go into a store and you see that this ferrule is loose, wiggly, put it back on the shelf. If you go like this to it and you see hair coming off of it, put it back on the shelf, because there's no way to fix that brush. This one I've had for quite a long time, and the head here is made up of what we call the belly and the point. You see, there is a point on this one. Here's a bit better. This is a different kind of a brush, where it has a bigger belly. This is more of a flat brush with a tip on it. It's still, both of them are watercolor pen brushes. Okay. And what happens with a watercolor brush is you get the brush wet, you put it in your paint, it fills up this we call it a belly, fills up with pigment and water. And the way you get that pigment and water onto your paper is to take and press the tip onto the paper and pull. That will release the paint and the water from the brush. Now, in taking care of your brushes, you want to start with either a 6 or an 8. And depending on your company or your brand, this one happens to be a 10, but from one company to another, a 6 is not actually a 6 necessarily. It might be an 8. So you just go, and you want to have either a number 6 or a number 8 round brush. It's called a round brush because when they put the bristles on, they go around the stick to put it on there. And they come in many sizes. They'll come like from 1 to 12, size 12, and they'll even have some zeros and 0 zeros and 0 zeros. The higher the number, the more the bristle, and the bigger the brush. Okay? In order to be able to keep this brush forever, even though it's a cheap brush, you have to know how to take care of it. And it's different from like oil brushes. When you are working with it, you just work like normal, and I'll show you later how to do that. And when you are done, or you're done for the day painting, what you want to do is you want to go into wherever you have a sink, put a little bead of hand soap, could be dish soap as long as it's liquid, and now these are very delicate bristles. A lot of times, most of these are going to be squirrel hair. The gold standard is sable, from sable foxes. You don't want to bend these bristles, because once you bend the bristle, you better just throw it away, because there's no way of fixing it. So what you want to do is you take this, and in your hand, you're going to go in that liquid paint and just kind of fill it up with liquid. And then turn on the faucet, put it down to just about where the sink is, where the little plug is, and let the gravity of the water clean your brush. You don't, like with acrylic and with oil, sometimes you're in there, you know, with a towel and you know, don't do that with these. Then once the paint is out and you don't see any more paint coming out of it, then it's clean and you want to go like that to reform it. Then never, ever, 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 ever put a watercolor brush in a cup and let it sit there touching the bottom. Ever, ever, because you're going to lose the brush. Never, ever leave it in the cup of water. What you want to do to dry it is you don't want to do this either. You don't want to stick it in the cup the other way up. Why? The water's going to run down into that ferrule. It's going to start rotting out your handle. It's going to loosen the glue, and then you're going to have hair coming out. You know what happens when the hair is loose? Throw it away and get a new one. Okay. So if you'll notice, when I set this down on the, how can I do this? Set it down on the table. Let's put it this way. Notice they're made, watercolor brushes are made so that the brush does not touch the table. So you can actually dry it like that. Hope it doesn't fall off. You can put it on the top of your cup. Whoops. Do not dry it like this. This is how to store it. You can then put the other end and let it stand up once it's dry. But when it's wet, you don't want to take any problems with getting rid of, you want to keep the brush. I personally don't need a $135 brush. A $2 brush suits me just fine. So you're going to get yourself a number 6 or a number 8, and I have a paper up here if you're interested in getting started. I have the supply list and where to get things up here for afterwards. The other thing you're going to need is a 1/2 inch flat. Now this one is 3/4. But a flat is just, it's made the same way as a round, it just, they put it on this side, they put it on this side, and it's a flat brush. You use, if you're B, you can just use this for everything. But the rest of us need to get started with. You need a 6 or 8, number 6, number 8. And if you don't know which one you want, just flip a coin. Doesn't matter. Just take one. And a 1/2 inch flat. So that's brushes that you need. That's one of the most important things. The next important thing is your paint. What I would recommend, because I assume you're just trying to learn whether you really want to do this and spend time and money on it. So you're going to want something, paints come in tubes and they come in pans. They also come in student quality grade and professional grade. This particular one only comes in one. And it is a high quality student palette. This palette here comes with a brush, which you're gonna, when you get it, you're gonna take it out and you're gonna throw it away. Because that's not gonna make you happy. I keep it and I stir things with it. Sometimes I'll even use it for masking fluid, which you don't need to know about right now. So just stick it in the drawer, throw it away or something. These come in half pan or oval. Get the oval. Because the oval gives you so much more paint for your price. The square maybe will be $2 less, but you'll have so much more paint. These pop out. You can replace just the pan, just one pan. You can buy a whole set, but I wouldn't. When I'm trying to figure out whether I want to do this, I can paint a lot of pictures with this. And I don't have to worry how much it's going to cost me because these are really cheap. I did a little bit of research here. And this 8 pan will cost you on Amazon, will cost you $3.58. And if you like to mix colors, those of you who know how to do that, this would be an excellent choice because it's only $3.58. It's also, I found on Blick though, it's $3.41. So, you know, you can also get it at Fred Meyer's, you can get it at you can get it at Hobby Lobby even, I bet.
Can you just
But
say
stay
the
away
name?
from Crayola. This is called Prang, Prang, okay? I would not buy these little pans. When my color runs out, if I'm still liking it, I'm gonna look at a brand that's a professional brand. And then I'm gonna buy a tube because it's so much cheaper. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm gonna squeeze it in there and let it dry. And then I can see whether I like that brand or not. You know, and I write on the side of the pan what brand it is and what the color is. Because if I like it, I want to replace it. If I don't like it, I can just find something else. All of these pans also have a place for doing mixing if you like it. I never use that. Now, if you're like me, you like color. This is a 16 pan. And it has, you can see a couple of them, but this is a lighter green and a darker green. So you have a lot more choices in colors. So if you're just starting out, I recommend this one. It's only going to cost you, the 16 pan at Amazon is $13.18. I think the last time I got one at like the Artist and Craftsman Supply, I think it was about $16. Bic has the 16 for $9.60. So you can see you're going to be able to do a lot of painting. And the nice thing about Prang is that it is a high quality student brand. It's going to give you the feel of your professional. But the only thing different is there may not be quite as much pigment and the life safeness. Professionals have high quality pigment that is put in, and it's also, you have to look at the light fastness. And some of you that already have other painting that you do, you know what that means. That means that, first of all, you never hang a painting in the sunlight because sunlight fades your painting. This will not have the light fastness than a professional level paint will have. But you can have a whole lot of fun with this. So here, that's your paint that you need. So you need 2 brushes, you need a palette. The next thing I would recommend is, instead of getting, you know, big expensive paper, what you want to look for is a sketchbook that is wire bound. And I'll tell you why you want to have one that's wire bound. Nobody told me this. This is my first one when I first started watercolor. When you open this, this is a moleskin. When you open it up, do you see any problem with using it with your watercolor? And even if I take it like this, and maybe even put a clip here, do you still see any problem with a watercolor? Where's that water going to run?
Down the center.
If you want to save yourself a whole lot of concern, don't get a mold. Don't get one that's bound. Get one that has, actually this is my personal one that I'm using right now. I always cover them so that I can tell which one is which, because they're all the same. And this, I really highly recommend that you get one that is between 90 pound and 140 pound paper. What does that mean? If you think of a ream of paper, most of the computer paper is what? 30 pound? 20 pound. That means it weighs 20 pounds if you have a ream of paper. If you have, at least that's the way it was explained to me. And if it's 140, you can tell it's a lot heavier paper, right? Because that same amount of paper is going to weigh a whole lot more. Between 90 pound and 140 pound, it's about the same price. The only difference would be if you want a bigger one. This is a, one that I have in my here. This is from Strassmayer, It's a 9 by 12 with 140 pound. This one I highly recommend, and the reason I do is because I like to buy local. And these are made right here in the Pacific Northwest. Matter of fact, in Beaverton is where they're made. The thing about this one, they come in all sizes, but if you read right on here, it will say 130 pound, 50 sheets. So you got 50 sheets. If I had to pay $3, $4, $5, and a lot of times it's $20 for, you know, something like this because of the quality of the paper. You're not going to want, you're going to see it and think, what if I make a mistake? You know, I don't want to start because I might make a mistake. If you have a cheaper type, but higher quality, like this one is, and the reason I like this one in particular is because on one side, watercolor paper is bumpy. They put a sizing on it so that it kind of looks like mountains and valleys. And when you put your water on there, it's going to stop at those hills and then go down into the valleys and hold it there until the water evaporates. On the other side, it's much smoother. I'm going to send this one around. It's much smoother on the back side. What does that do for you? Well, I'm doing watercolors, but what if I want to use colored pencil? What if I want to do markers? What if I want to do charcoal and try something there? Pass that around so you can feel what the weight of that paper is.
So this is, we say it's Pentalic.
That is Nature's Sketch, and it's made by Pentalic. It costs, let's see, on Amazon, this size, and this is the size I recommend for beginners, up to 9 by 12. Why do I do that? Beginners look at an 11 by 14 page and they get snowblind.
Yeah.
You know, I can't fill that paper up. But if you have a size that's this size, you can certainly fill a page of this up. And notice, I say wire bound because I can lay it flat, and where's the water gonna go? I can also fold it behind, and where's the water gonna go? It's gonna lay flat for me, and it's gonna be a whole lot easier for me. Okay, so this one is a Pentalic. This one happens to be the 6 by 9, and it will cost you $19.97. If you like another, I didn't find the 9 by 12, but the 8 by 11 is $23.45. Oh, and this one, this particular one is not Nature. This one is by Strassmeyer, and it's a visual journal. I think you've seen those around. Visual journals will cost you, let's see, 9 by 12 will cost you $15.28. At Blick, it's going to cost you $9.88. So that gives you a little bit, and I have this written down here. I didn't put the amounts, but I do have on this paper, if you decide you want to look for this stuff, it tells about the different things you need. Doesn't necessarily tell you where to get it, but, okay. So, you now know what you need to get. You need to get 2 brushes, you need to get a palette, and you need to get paper. Why did I ask you to get a sketchbook? Because as you're practicing, as you're learning, you are doing your art, and you can see, and you think, oh God, that's really bad. And I must admit, I have been known to glue a few pages together. But don't rip it out, because when you get back in here, you're going to say, well, you know, here I was planning out a painting. Here I was practicing a different background with that distressed inks. But you'll be able to look back and go back into the front and see the progress that you've made. Because when you're new, you think, this is really bad. But then you look back in your sketchbook and you're going to say, well, I'm doing pretty good, you know. If I can do that much better, you know, on the next one. Now here I was just doing, using saran wrap to try a background and stretching it. Okay, so you've got that. How do you put it, how do you actually use these materials? That's the next thing I want to show you. Let me turn around a little. Hope everybody will see past me. Okay. I have made, oh, and by the way, do you have to know how to draw to paint? You know. What I do, I find a picture I like, or I take a picture myself with my camera. And then I take and I send it to my printer. And I print it on computer pages. And then I like to be 9 by 12 size. So then I just tape it over it. Put some tape on there, and I slip a piece of graphite paper underneath, and I trace the outlines. I don't trace everything, just the outlines. So if you think you can't draw, you can still paint. Okay. I'm going to use one of these 18s. Here is my paper. Here's my reference. Let's see here. Let's take one of these. This is a number 8 round brush. You also have to have a cup of water. Now this is a dual one. This is what you give your preschoolers when you put paint in there, and it has a lid. I threw the lid away. But I have a tendency to like water. And I tend to turn things, you know, splash and get it everywhere. I mean, my family disappears when I go to wash the car. And the reason you either have 2 cups or you have one like this, because you want a clean side and you want a place to rinse out the colors. One of the problems, let's see if I can get back here. One of the problems is you do not want to contaminate the paint palette here. So somebody tell me what color you think our first parakeet should be.
Yellow.
Yellow? Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to put it in your clean side. And you're going to put it here. Oh, the other thing you can do. This is really fun. Only I could never find mine. Of course, I may have not have it either. Oh, I think. Yeah, well, I don't have it, but you can have a spray bottle. And I had a spray bottle, that must be in my one at home. Remember those little spray bottle ones you had that were sanitizers, hand sanitizers?
Those are the best.
I used it up, cleaned it out, put water in it. And you see, you gotta wake these guys up. When they're in here and they're dry, you gotta wake them up. And you don't say, good morning. You know, you gotta wake them up. So you have to put some water on it. So you can spray it and just leave it a second. Go get water. Now, in my case, when I don't have any spray, I just go in here and I wet it, make sure it's good and wet. There's no paint on here. Okay, I'm gonna get some more. And now I'm getting the paint. This is called what I call the technique, the kindergarten technique. Because I'm just gonna take that paint and I'm gonna put it on this dry and just go right around the outline here. And that's the way I first learned how to paint with watercolors, is we just put it in the paint, and this is called wet on dry.
It's light before dark.
And what?
Light before dark.
Well, I'm coming to that. Now, with watercolor, okay, like I said, it's different than the other paint. What do oil paintings and pastels and all of those guys, what do they paint from? They paint from dark to light because it's opaque. This is transparent, so we have to do it differently. See, I said watercolor is just different. It's not hard. So we go from light to dark. And by the way, we don't have white. We have to use the white of the paper to make white. There are some ways to cheat, but that's in the next class. What am I doing? Okay. Now, what do you want the next one to be?
Red.
Want it to be red? Okay, now I'm going to take my third bird, and that's the next one I'm going to paint. You know what? Why don't I paint the second one?
It'll blend into each other.
Water will run down.
You're not going to change the hydrology of water. If water's going to seek out water. So I have to wait for this first one to dry before I paint the second one, because it'll blend in there and it'll look icky. It'll just bloom. And I'll show you how the cool stuff about watercolor in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm going to go to red. I'm going to do this and then go over here to the clean water. And let's do this red. Gotta waken up. Okay. This time I'm going to do, oh shoot. I almost messed up. So this is a nice red. Now I'm going to do something fun. I don't want to just have a solid red one. I think I'm going to take, let's do yellow again, since I have that out. I'll wait. And I'm going to put that on the bottom here. And I'm going to go into the red and just pull it down. And I'm going to let that dry. Now that's still wet on dry. See how it pulls the red down in with the yellow and makes a little orange? Yes? Yeah.
Mingling.
Yes, Jerry?
I assumed that you were going to be painting with that canvas flat on the table, but I see you've got a little.
That's how I do it. At home, I always have it flat, but because I'm trying to show you guys, I wanted you to kind of be able to tell what I was doing. Okay? Now the next thing I'm going to show you, that was raw and dry. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is what we call wet on wet. So which one am I going to do next? Am I going to do this one?
No, go next.
Or this one? Okay, what color you want?
Blue.
Okay. Now if I'm going to do a blue bird, I think I want to do I think I'll do a two-tone. Should we do yellow and blue? Okay, first I'm going to wet the whole thing down. Just take water on your brush. This is hard because I don't normally do this at an angle. Okay, and while it's wet, I'm going to take a little yellow and I'm going to drop it in and let it do what water does. And then, oops, gotta get my towel out. Then I'm gonna take the blue. Are you awake? Okay, and then I'm gonna drop the blue in. That's wet on wet. See how that kind of blooms and it kind of mixes itself? You know, you get a little thing on the bottom, you can do it with your brush or you can just do it with a little towel here. I'm gonna let that dry. Now another thing you can do, take your flat brush that you got, and let's try putting different colors on each side. Now I could do it with wet. Let's see how we're doing over here. Let's try orange on this side. Are you awake? Wake up, wake up. Okay. Orange here, and let's put blue here. See what happens. And I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna twirl it. As I pull down, I'm just gonna twirl it.
Oh, it looks like tie-dye.
Yeah, that's what it does. Then I can come in here and I can drop some color again and make his tail a little darker here. Now notice, I didn't put water down below. It's not going down there very easy, is it? If you don't put water there,
Oh, yes, it is.
okay. Well, that's because I tipped it too far. You get the idea. If it's flat, that's one reason I like to do it flat. Okay? I'll make a little more yellow in here. And you can mix your colors right up, and you can even leave little white spots for your bird. When you're doing watercolor, you want to go from light to dark, and you also wanted, if I was doing, I can come back over this light one and put some dark spots in there. We could do medium, we could then do some detailing. And at the very end, I'm going to draw a line, because they're going to be sitting on a line. And then I'm going to figure out which one's looking on their back and which one is in front. And I'm going to put beaks and eyes on the ones that are looking this way. And I'm going to put feet on the ones that are looking that way. Okay? Let's see. That will probably get you started. Dry on dry. What happens if I want to go back over and do something else on this? Let me show you that before I quit. Let's just use yellow. Why not? Or do you want to use orange?
Orange.
I see, yeah, blaze it with
Because
orange.
it'll show better.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Let's start here. Put a few feathers, you know, and then when I go do the detail, I'll put the feathers in there. I can even take the backs of my brush and mark it in there. It's not working right. I've got to wait a little bit until to do that.
How would you add the white head?
Oh, white head, I do it at the very beginning.
Oh.
Whites. Okay, let me show you. Okay, let's do a green bird. And I'm going to do it with water because I like wet on wet really well.
We didn't see what you did with the orange.
Well, it just didn't turn out. That's one of those I wish I had glued to the paper.
Okay.
That's one of those I glued to the paper.
Okay.
But don't be afraid to make a mistake or to not like it. Just go on to the next one. Okay. Now what was I going to do here?
White
White
head,
head.
green
Oh,
body.
white head. Okay, I'm going to have a green. So I would just go, let's see, how is it over here? Okay, let's just go. And drop it in. Don't just, let me dry this off just a little. Okay. Just drop it in. I guess I should be doing it here and then showing it to you. And if I don't like that, I can take water, just plain water, Dry it off a little bit. This is your friend. Let's just take a little bit off of that. So we have a little lighter spots here and there. I can even take this, I call it a cloud maker, and just dot it a little to bring some more whites out. Then I can put, when I'm all done, I can go ahead and say, okay, if this is going to be in the front, I'll put a beak right here. Use the back end of my brush to do the dot for the eye. I can draw in my feet. If I'm going to have them looking this way, I'm going to put the beak in the eye. If I'm going to have them going that way, I'm going to put the feet on there. So you know the difference. You get the idea? Yeah, you know, this looks a little messy, but that's because I normally do it flat. And if you notice, now I'm not going to leave my brush in there. Just going to swirl it. Notice how I took my paper and I taped it on this board. This is another little thing that's kind of cool. I also, here we go. Here it is. I get, you can, if you want, you can use a clipboard. You can use packing something, cardboard if you want. And just cut it the size of your paper. This one is cut for my journal because sometimes I like to have that white line around the outside. So I put it in there. Oh, I don't want you to see that one. Okay. And then I would tape it along here. Why do I do that? If I use too much water, the paper is going to crinkle up. And then you're going to have bigger wells and hills and valleys. And you don't want that. If you go ahead and tape this down while you're painting, you don't have to worry about that. 140 pound usually won't do that, but I have managed to get it to warp pretty easily actually for me. So this is white corrugated cardboard. It has a plastic content, lighter than light. You want to pass that around? It's wonderful for taking it with you because it keeps it all flat. It's hardly nothing to carry. If you don't use a lot of water, you don't have to tape it down. But if you're going to use a lot of, I like to have water first and then drop my colors in. And then you might need to tape it down. Questions? Yes.
What kind of tape?
I started out with a blue one like that, and blue painter's tape. Somebody told me, oh, you know, if you take, and that blue is going to change the color and the look of your painting. You should be using white. So I found the white, and you can cut, it comes, you know, in sheets like this. You can cut it any size you want with a pair of scissors. And then I use painter's tape, which when you take the tape off, I want to show you this little trick. You do it at a 45-degree angle. Get it started here.
And don't leave it on there real long.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I've had it on for weeks. But you want to pull it off like
It
this
does
at a
matter.
45-degree angle and slowly.
Make sure your painting's dry.
Yes.
Yes.
After it's all dry. And then there'll be a nice little border all the way around it.
Then you can frame it.
Yeah, if you want to. I don't think I'll frame this one. Yes, question.
You know, the Strathmore, I was wondering, there's a shiny side and then the other side is kind of rough. Well, I always do my paintings on the rough side of it.
The rough side is the side you want. Now this one doesn't have that.
That's the size you're supposed to use, right?
See, this has the same feel on both sides.
What?
This has the same feel on both sides.
No.
Some
do, some don't.
Yeah.
All mine do.
This, most of the ones that come in a bound like this
Right? No.
will be like this.
No, it's not in the middle, it's just you
Yeah.
tear it out.
I don't think, see, you can do all kinds of things in here.
But you know, I mean,
This happened to be my parakeet, and so I put some of his feathers in there. You know, so you can do all, and that's practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get.
Okay, guys. It's question time, but the answers are coming from Barb. You can get answers from your friends afterwards.
Any other
Okay.
questions? Yes.
Where do you get the corrugated?
I think it was a dollar store. Or you can get it at the Home Depot. Hobby Lobby probably has it. Who? Dick Blick has it. You know, it's very easy to find.
Okay.
And it's very cheap.
Is it just like in the packing materials? or-
Where you find
As far as
the
Poster board?
poster
Okay.
board.
Okay. But isn't it bigger than that? We're gonna cut it down just to cut
It's
it
about
down.
the size of a poster board.
Yeah. You have to go in.
You know, and then you cut it whatever size you want.
Okay.
Any other questions?